Hey everybody, it's Anna. Welcome back to my art channel. Thank you so much for being here. Would you believe that I've been painting for almost 3.5 years and I have never used a bottle of pre-mixed pouring paint? I know that seems kind of crazy because that's usually where a lot of people start. It's the easiest way to start in pouring. You just buy the kit, you buy a canvas, you pour it out, you make some beautiful art. That's not the way I work. I'm the kind of person that's like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it at its cheapest, and so that's going to be Floetrol, and so I'm going to buy all the individual parts. That's how I did it. I'm really excited today. I get to try some pre-mixed pouring paints. So let's get started. So the box of paints that I'm using today is from Lightwish. It is a set of 8 colors. I'm using their metallic pouring paint set. So it's 6 metallic colors plus white and black. And I am using this partly as a promotional. They reached out and they said, would you try these on your channel? And I said, sure, because I am really excited. I have never tried pouring paint. So I'm going to give this one a go, and then I'm going to make 2 paintings with it. So I've got 2 10x10 canvases, and I'm going to do a ring pour and a flip cup. So I'm going to see how do these paints work in a non-silicone oil application and in a silicone oil application. All right, so let's see what's in the box. So what's cool about this is they have, of course, the 8 bottles of paint. But then they also have included some disposable glove packets and some tablecloths. So if you're wanting to try this and you don't want to buy all the individual things on their own, getting a kit like this would actually be really easy because all you need plus this is a canvas, maybe some plastic cups, maybe some popsicle sticks. Okay, but that's all that you need plus this set. So that's great if you want something easy. So let's look at these colors. We've got violet pearl. Again, these are all metallics except the black and the white. So the pouring medium has somewhat separated from the colors. I can see kind of a clear layer here on the top. So I'm going to shake that up really well. Same with the blue, it has also separated, so shake them both up. Okay, purple and blue. Then we've got lava red and gold. Those look really pretty. I'm getting worn out. Okay, then we have ice silver and aqua green. Beautiful. Okay, and then black and white. Okay, those are all shaken up. I'm going to treat this like a true, box kit test, where, for the most part, I'm not going to pour the colors into the cups. I'm just going to open them up and use them and see, can you truly just shake it up and use it as is? Does that work? I will be using cups later so I can add silicone oil to some of the colors. So first of all, let me pick what colors I want for my ring pour and for my flip cup. Perfect, I think I got it. These 4, black, white, and then metallic red and metallic gold, those are going to be for my ring pour. And then for the flip cup, I'm going to do white, green, purple, blue, and silver. Very fun. So I'll set these aside for now. Okay, I need to open these up because they are still sealed. So I intentionally picked as my kind of tester techniques that are pretty easy and techniques that can handle different consistencies of paint. I don't know how thick these are because I have not poured a single one into a cup yet and stirred it up yet. So these might be thin pouring paints, these might be thick pouring paints. The great thing is, thin paint or thick paint can work well with a flip cup, and they can work well with a ring pour. Okay, let's layer this cup. So, because I always mix my own paint, I never layer cups out of a squeeze bottle. But that's what I'm doing today. Let's see, how do we want to layer these? All right, so we'll start with red. Okay, so pouring that down, it looks like a nice consistency. It looks relatively thin. It's not super thick, but it's also not really watery, so that's good. That means if you needed a thinner consistency, you could add water to this. That's why it's good that it's not too watery. This white is stacking well, it seems. Sometimes white paint can sink when you're doing a stacked cup, so we'll see whether this one sinks or whether it kind of floats. Not too much black. For a 10 by 10 inch canvas, I want about 6.5 ounces of paint, 6 1/4 to 6.5. So this is a 9-ounce cup, and I'm going to fill it about 2/3 full. Perfect. Look at that beautiful layered cup. Love that. Okay, so I have my canvas set up on my spinner here. This is a wooden Lazy Susan that we popped the top off and attached this wooden X. It works really well, especially for large canvases. So 10 by 10 is about the smallest that you can go on here. And I've got thumbtacks on the back of my canvas, which just sort of grab on the edge. So that makes it very easy as well. Okay, let's pour this out. The middle is just a little bit blobby. Let me see if I can make it just a little neater. Funny how it was like very sort of black and white, and when I poured it again, it's very orange. Really cool though. So it poured out very easily. It was nice, and I guess it was a thinner, flowier consistency than I usually have for a ring pour. So I'm going to spin this just to give it a really beautiful, even spreading. So let's go ahead and spin it and see how it looks. Actually, there's a little bit of leftover paint in the cup. I'm just going to put it on these corners so it doesn't get wasted. And that way it will help the paint stretch out over the whole thing. Wonderful. Let's spin. Very cool. Oh, it's so layered. It is a little off center. I'm going to slide it this way so that as I continue to spin, more of the paint will go that way. Let's spin again. Oh, nice. So by moving it off center on the spinner, I have recentered this design and it's perfect. Those details are so intricately layered. I love that. And the middle, I'm glad I redid the middle because it is much cleaner now. Okay, I'm gonna come through and torch this. I'm seeing some air bubbles. I want to see whether any cells open up if I torch this. No, not really. But pop the air bubbles. Great! Yeah. So, turned out very well. It was a nice, thin, flowy consistency for a ring pour. Let me give you a close-up. Okay. So you can see all those intricate layers. Those are beautiful. Now overall, the whole thing turned kind of gray. That's partly because I had black and white stacked next to each other. It's partly because the metallic red and gold kind of mixed with the black and white. So it's not really, really crisp colors. Obviously that middle is very bright, so that's nice. I think overall the paint was a little bit thin for a stacked up in one cup ring pour. Probably if I had used a split cup, we would have gotten more color separation between those layers. But still, it's really pretty, and I'm excited to see how shimmery it is when it's dry. One other thing that I am seeing here is that the paint seems to be a little bit thin to keep the edges covered. The canvas is definitely showing through. So that's something to consider when using this paint. It might be a good idea to add, to paint those edges first if you don't want that canvas to show through. So that was really fun. Overall, it seemed like these pre-mixed paints are just a little bit thin for a ring pour, though it did produce a really neat result, so maybe that's what you want. All right, let's try it now with a flip cup. So I've got white, silver, blue, green, and purple. These should be beautiful together. So I've got some cups over here because I do want to add silicone oil to each color. And again, about 6.5 ounces of total paint. I didn't open this one up. I forgot, I only took the seals off the first batch. What was I saying? 6.5 ounces to cover a canvas this size. The way I calculate that is you multiply the length times the width. So 10 by 10 is 100 square inches. And then you divide that by 16, and you get the approximate number of ounces of paint that you need. So it's about 6 1/4 for this. I always like to have a little bit more. So essentially you need 1 ounce of paint for every 4 by 4 inch square. There are certain techniques that use more paint per square inch, and there are certain techniques that use less. For flip cups and ring pours, it's usually about 1 ounce per 16 square inches. There are others that take less, but there's not many more that take more than that. So it's a good kind of baseline number to have in your mind. Anyway, I'm just kind of rambling about math, because fluid art actually is a fair amount of math. You got ratios, you have amounts of paint. Anyway, here are my 5 colors. Oh, these are going to be beautiful together. But I've got about, I don't know, 1.5 ounces in each cup, which should add up to plenty of paint. So now I'm going to add some spot-on treadmill silicone. I'm going to add, I don't know, 2 drops per cup. When I use Floetrol, American Floetrol, as my pouring medium, I don't usually need to use a lot of silicone because Floetrol itself is a fairly reactive paint additive. With this, I don't know. So I'm adding 2 drops instead of 1, just to make sure that I get cells. Let's give those a stir. So here's the consistency. It does flow back in. I would call this a medium thin to thin. It is not Dutch pour consistency. I don't think you'd want this paint for a Dutch pour. And if you did, you'd want to add more water. So it is quite flowy. The mound disappears within a second or 2. Got the silicone mixed in really well. So there's our cup. I'm not going to try to layer them because I don't think these paints are thick enough to stack really well, so I'm just going to dump them in kind of crazy, as if you were just pouring them straight in from the bottle. So let's do some blue at the bottom. As you're pouring paint into a cup, if you pour from up high, it'll sort of drop down in, and if you pour from lower down, it'll sit more on top. So depending on whether you want a stacked cup or kind of a chaotic mixed cup, that will determine what height you pour from. These colors are so pretty. Okay, because I already have this set in the middle, I'm just gonna flop it over. Whoop. Okay. That is really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna let this sit for just a minute, let the paint kind of flow down, and then we'll pick it up and see what happens. Very exciting. Okay, here we go. Okay, that is surprising. There is not a lot of cells coming up. There are some. I'm using the extra paint in the cup to cover these corners. It's beautiful colors. It's just not a lot of cells. If this was Floetrol as the pouring medium, there would be cells everywhere. Let me see whether torching is going to bring up more of those cells. Oh yeah, here they come. So this is behaving much more like a glue mixture, where silicone plus heat is what makes the cells. So that's really cool. I'm going to spin it out and then I'm going to torch it again to bring up more cells so that they don't get too big. Because if I make them now and then stretch it, they're going to be massive. And a few massive cells is good, but I also like some smaller ones. I'm just kind of recentering the paint in the middle. Let's spin it. Wow, look how giant those cells are. That's insane. Oh man. So most people don't spin flip cups. Usually you kind of tilt it. But I just felt like spinning it for fun. It is beautiful. There's a lot of paint on here, so I'm going to try to spin some more of this off and then I'll torch it some more. Okay, great. Let me torch again. See what I get, because these are just... I've never had cells that big, ever. Okay, here come some more cells. This is fun. This is so crazy. Just watching the cells come up and grow. And then the colors, of course, are so pretty. I do want to stretch it a little bit more. Just a little bit. Whoa, I spun it too hard. I said a little bit more and then I was like, whoosh! Yeah. Okay. Let's try to get just a few more cells over here. This is so pretty. I'm happy with that. I love the mix of giant cells, smaller cells, medium cells. It's crazy. It's like a beautiful mosaic, and I love it. Let me give you a close-up. Okay, here it is. First of all, look how shimmery that is. All those metallic colors. This is going to be totally wild. Love it. Okay, so look at how many cells, and you saw there were like no cells, or only a few, just from flipping the cup, but then with the torch, it brought up a ton. So if you have a torch, this might be a set of paint that you really love to use, because you can get controlled cells exactly where you want them. I think that's really fun. If you don't have a torch, then it might be better to go with different paints because the heat was absolutely essential to creating these cells. All right, I will show you how this one and the other one look when they are dry, so let's go to that next. Okay, here they are dry, and you will notice they both look different than when I showed you the close-ups while they were wet. So I think because the paint was so thin and flowy, it wanted to move. It wanted to pour off the canvas in a couple of points there and there, which is why the design sort of stretched. And then here, all those lovely cells that I torched up, they just kept on growing and growing and growing over the next hour or so. And so it does not look nearly as pretty as it did before. Wah. Okay, here's the good part though. You see how shiny that is? Amazing. And then even with this one too. This one had more of the non-metallic, so it just makes me think that the black and the white were more of a glossy paint. The good news there is that you wouldn't really have to varnish them because they are so nice and shiny already. You obviously could add a top coat for even more shine, but in terms of just pouring and being done with it, this might be an easy product for you. Obviously, each brand of pouring paint is going to be different. So I was testing Lightwish Metallic Acrylic Pouring Paint, and my results were kind of so-so. It's possible that I would want to try some other brands at some point just to see. They definitely were very easy to use, but I like having more control of my paint than I got with this. So that's just my opinion. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope that it taught you something new, and let me know down in the comments. Does this make you want to try some pre-mixed paints for yourself, or go, no thanks, I'll mix my own? I hope to see you again for another video very soon. Bye!